Whereas to celebrate National Nutrition Month, the City of Mount Pearl has accepted the Follow the Leader Nutrition Month Challenge. The Mayor, Randy Sims, and the Mount Pearl will be promoting the Tradition Month theme of Eat Great and Participate. And now I, therefore, Mayor, the City of Mount Pearl, Newfoundland and Labrador, hereby proclaim the month of March 2012 as Nutrition Month in the City of Mount Pearl. And with that, I will sign the proclamation for you. And Shelley, I'm going to ask you to come over here. Stand by me a little bit because we're doing this on the internet all the time. So we're going to give you this microphone. And we're not going to sing.
Is this like karaoke?
All of your plans.
Well, Nutrition Month, the national campaign, the theme for this year is Get the Real Deal on Your Meal. And this focuses on what we're looking at is 39 common myths related to food and nutrition, and we're going to be telling the truth about these myths. And you can log on to www.dietitian.ca and you'll get the accurate nutrition information on these things. Something else we're focusing on is the challenge, the Follow the Leader Nutrition Month Challenge, which I'm very pleased to say Mount Pearl has signed on for. And the focus of that is physical activity, healthy eating, and just feeling good about just living in your community. It does not have to do with weight. It has to do with just being healthy and being active. So this challenge, it's divided into 4 weeks, and you can accumulate points. So there's a few people in the room who have pedometers strapped on, so you earn points according to how many steps you take. And so that's the first week. Then the second week, you continue walking, and then you add on green and orange food to your meals. So then that kind of combines activity with, loading up fruits and vegetables. So then the third week, it's promoting physical activity amongst children. So that's where you gather up a group of 3 or more children, and there's an activity that you do for an hour, and this kind of ends off with a healthy snack. So you earn points according to how many hours of physical activity that goes on for that week. Then the last week, there's a big community challenge where as many people in Mount Pearl come out together and do an activity for an hour, and then that's followed up with a healthy snack. So I'm not sure when that is planned.
I'm not sure of the dates, but we're doing something with kids in the school.
Yes.
And our seniors independence group, I understand, we're doing an hour-long activity together.
Excellent.
So
That's perfect.
we're hoping to gather a crowd of people.
And in Mount Pearl, they keep the sidewalks cleared in the winter, and there's always people walking. Like, we're very health conscious, active community, so it's really great to see, Mount Pearl sign on for this. And people can follow how all the leaders are doing by logging on to followtheleadernl.ca, and then they'll show how the points all accumulate.
Yeah,
So,
we're going to enter all those points at the end of the week, right?
oh yes,
Every day.
because Mount Pearl is going to win. Everybody's there.
No.
No.
Everybody, follow us.
Yeah.
You are subject to audit. You are subject to audit. That's right. Every one of us has to submit it on the website, but I didn't see the tool that allows you to actually submit it.
Oh yes, you go into the website. You got to register, you got to go into Recreation Newfoundland Labrador, and it tells you to go into it. You've gone in, done it.
What comes up on the map is
Once you
all
goes
our
into that
names
site.
At the moment, because we're starting to speak the email.
No, you can go in. No.
All right,
Jill, you can contact Jill if you're having problems, technical difficulties, because she's the... Do we have a vote on this?
Has anybody entered points?
Yes, I have.
You have entered points?
I have entered
On
points.
the website, did they come up? Because yesterday they
I don't
came
know.
up.
I don't know if they come up, but I've gone in. I got my own files there, and I enter my own points. I have.
All right.
I signed in. I got my password and everything.
Because I think that Jill
get my
will, you
password
can
and
call Jill at the end of the week, and she will help you with points.
That's perfect.
Anyway, I'd just like to say thank you very much and continue being active and eat healthy because we have one body, we have to take care of it.
Thank you very much, and good luck with all the activities this month.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Shelley. So how many of us got pedometers?
I got mine strapped on here.
The deputy mayor, Dave.
Took mine off and I changed and I forgot to put it back on.
Forgot your pedometer. No points there. That's good. You got yours. You got yours.
I wanted yours.
John didn't sign in.
Yours is the one that has 2.5 steps for every step taken. I wanted.
No. I bought a new one.
Oh, did you?
Oh yes, I bought a new one. That was.
Would you?
I'm trying to be an honest man, and here you're accusing me of being a politician again. Thank you very much, Shelley, for that. Next on our list today, we have a proclamation for World Plumbing Day. I believe David Dawes here, and Sherry Slaney with the Canadian Institute of Plumbing and Heating, and Carl Burt. How you doing? Good. So you guys are going to come up, and we're going to sign this in the proclamation. We're going to do the very. Okay, you've got a good one there. I'll sign for you. And we're going to get. And I understand, David, you're going to do the talking on this one. Are you not, Carl? You're going to.
He's going to do something.
I don't know.
All right. I tell you what. One of you is going to do the talking. How about that?
I'll send
All
it
right.
to him.
You hold on to that. I'll read this into the record. Here we go. Whereas every person on the planet is affected by the availability of clean drinking water and basic sanitation, and whereas in many developing countries plumbing is either very limited or even non-existent, and the lack of an effective plumbing infrastructure is a huge factor in the tragic statistics which show that an unacceptably high proportion of the world population does not have access to safe water or to effective sanitation systems. And whereas the World Health Organization estimates that over 3 million children under the age of 5, die each year due to water-related diseases, simple plumbing solutions could make all the difference in saving lives. And whereas with an increased global focus on climate change, the plumbing industry is a major player in relation to water conservation, use and reuse issues, and in the installation and maintenance of equipment using renewable sources of energy. And whereas the Mechanical Contractors Association of Canada, the Canadian Institute of Plumbing and Heating, and the World Plumbing Council, along with related organizations around the world, will join together on March 11th to raise awareness of the importance of proper plumbing in relation to protecting the planet and its citizens. Therefore, I, Mayor Randy Sims, on behalf of the Mount Pearl City Council, do hereby proclaim March 11th as World Plumbing Day in the city of Mount Pearl. And I will date this the 6th day of March, 2012, and affix my signature. And I know Carl or Dave, one or both of you, tell us about your plans for World Plumbing Day.
Well, I just wanted to speak on behalf of, I'm the chair of Canadian Institute of Plumbing and Heating, the local chapter, and Dave is the mechanical contractors. Based on our proclamation we made here last year, it springboarded us to, we do a lot of stuff with Habitat for Humanity, but concerns with the safe sanitation and drinking water, we actually got on board with the Salvation Army group here and sponsored bringing safe drinking water to a hospital in Zimbabwe. So we want to thank everybody in this chamber for helping us with that proclamation last year. They picked us up actually, I don't know if it was on the internet or wherever else, they contacted us and we sent over 2 containers. I think they left in November, they'll get there in May. And Dr. House from Carboneer, she goes
Dr.
over.
Don House.
Don House.
Mhm.
She brings some nurses, they volunteer their time, they're over there for a number of weeks. And of course the drinking water was a big in that project, so we want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Dave,
Yes, the Mechanical Contractors Association of Canada and the Newfoundland chapter, this year we have raised a bunch of money to provide fresh water and wells in Zambia. So far we've about $35,000 and each well costs $5,000. Over there, the idea of World Plumbing Day is to bring the awareness and to let people understand that what we have or what we're used to, turn on the tap and take it for granted that the water's going to come out. Most of the houses being built today have 3, 4, 5 bathrooms. You know, you can't get in one, you get in the other. You know, over there they walk half a day, put a jug on their head or under their arm, and and get a gallon of water is going to do them all day. And part of the disease is that you don't use that water for washing or bathing or just for drinking. And they create diseases that cause the kids to die prematurely because of the fact that they're not clean. So we've taken on that. Our chairman has taken that on as a charity this year, and it's doing very well.
Thank you, sir, very much. And thank you, gentlemen and ladies. And we want to wish you the very best of luck with the activities of World Plumbing Day. It sounds like the cause is tremendous, and I'm shocked by the number. 5 million, by the age of 5, over 3 million children actually die due to water-related, waterborne
We're
diseases.
very lucky in this country.
I want to thank you for your work. Keep it up. Thank you.
very much, sir.
Good luck
Thank
with
you,
the
sir.
rest of it. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, folks. Boy, the stuff we take for granted, yeah? Just having a drink of water. We always use whenever we get picked on by a taxpayer because our water rates have gone up or something, we always use examples of like, well, think how much you pay for cable, or think how much you use all the water you want for like $50 a month. And that's kind of, we never ever think in terms of saying to people, do you realize that there are millions of people in the world who can't turn on a tap? And, it's pretty phenomenal. I thank them for that today. We have a third proclamation this afternoon, Council, that I'm sure that some of you will be familiar with. Well, I'm pretty well sure all of you will be familiar with. And that is the proclamation. We get the honor to do this every year for Volunteer Week, which is coming up April 15th to 21st. I want to welcome Bernard Davis is coming up, I think. Ron Ellsworth is coming up. Jackie Dollamont is coming up. My God, who else is coming up? All right, the rest of them I don't know. The whole entourage, and I'm going to get you, you're going to speak, Ron, to this? Sure. Then I'm going to get you to introduce everybody because I don't have all their names here, okay? And if I have, I've lost it. And as we do all the time, I will read the proclamation, sign it into the record, and then we'll get Mr. Ellsworth, who is the honorary chair for Volunteer Week this year, to have a few words to say about the activities upcoming. Proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the City of Mount Pearl recognizes the enormous contribution that volunteers and voluntary community-based organizations make to the social, cultural, and economic development of our province, and whereas it has been recognized that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians contribute an astonishing 35 million hours of volunteer effort annually, resulting in a significant and positive impact on the quality of life for our citizens, and whereas the City of Mount Pearl acknowledges the theme of volunteers, action, passion, impact for Volunteer Week 2012, recognizes and shows appreciation to all our citizens who volunteer, and encourages the continuation of volunteerism. Therefore, with the support of City Council, I sign this proclamation and declare the period from April 15th to 21st, 2012, to be observed throughout the City of Mount Pearl as Volunteer Week. And I call upon all residents and urge them to lend their time and their skills to this very worthwhile activity. And with that, I will affix my signature and date, and I'm going to okay, do you want to do this as well? There's three. You want 3 of them signed?
Please.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
My mother.
One for Ron's mom, hey? I don't believe you, Mr. Ellsworth. All right, I'm going to get you to just use this mic, if you would, Ron, and tell us a bit about, obviously, being chair. It's going to be a busy week. I did it myself one time, so believe me, I know. Tell us about your plans.
So big shoes for me to fill, first of all, obviously. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that the April the 15th to 21st is the Volunteer Week, and it's an opportunity for all of us in our community to thank the grassroots movement of volunteerism that makes such an impact in our community. It's a good opportunity for anybody out there who wants to volunteer to learn a little bit about volunteering. You can check out the Community Service Council website, or during Volunteer Week, we'll have some booths set up at the Avalon Mall for Volunteer Connections, where we have some volunteer organizations who will be out there assisting anybody who would like to get into volunteering. Our young people in our community, for example, school programs encourage volunteer hours for different academics.
So it's a good opportunity for all those guys getting involved. I think we all understand the importance of volunteering in our community. Here in Mount Pearl, I know the guys are coming in behind us, Mount Pearl Sport Alliance. You know, it's certainly an organization to be commended and looked at. The impact that they've had in the community is huge, and that's all done through volunteering. So I encourage everybody to get involved, be active, and be part of your community. I'd like to thank Mount Pearl for doing our first proclamation this year, and we look forward to coming years.
Thank you, sir, very much. Would you introduce the ladies and that whom I've missed? Because I don't know. Who's this lady?
Introduce yourself. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm Denise Allison, and I'm from the Community Sector Council.
Hi, how are you? And Jackie Dolomont, we know from the VOC
Yes,
and
so
Cares
with the
Foundation.
VOC and Cares Foundation, we're a proud supporter again this year of Volunteer Week. We have been for a number of years. So we're proud to be involved. We want to encourage everyone to take time during the week to thank those volunteers in your community.
And to avoid being sexist, Bernie Davis is on the list.
Bernie, we knew. Thank
Worship.
you, Ron Ellsworth. We appreciate that. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you very much. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations and good luck with the week. Thank you. I had the honor and privilege of being the honorary chair for Volunteer Week in 2003 for the Community Services Council, and it is a very satisfying but tremendously busy week. And what you end up doing, of course, is you give out 9 million certificates and awards all over the province, as far away as Happy Valley Goose Bay. And it is a week of a lot of activity, but some great, tremendous satisfaction. Communities will hold events to recognize volunteers in the week, and if it was like in my case, it'll be with Ron as well. I'm sure you have to go to the dinner, do a little speech, talk about volunteer activity, and then you give out awards. And you're pretty well doing it every night for the 7 nights, including the last one, which is the big grand gala in the capital city. Tremendous sense of satisfaction from it, though, realizing just how big a volunteer community we actually have in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's, I believe it's not comparable anywhere else in the world. It's just amazing, the number of people who roll up their sleeves and go to work on behalf of the community. They don't do it for remuneration or glory or praise. They just do it for the good of the community. And I can name, I wanted to say hundreds right here in Mount Pearl, but that's probably not true because I don't know that many. But between us all, I bet you we could name several thousand if we had the list of the volunteers who make Mount Pearl Mount Pearl. And that's true of pretty well every community in this province. Wonderful stuff. Look forward to Volunteer Week coming up April 15th to the 21st. Now, speaking of volunteers, volunteer activity, and people who are doing work in our community, as you know, the Newfoundland and Labrador Housing and Homelessness Network did some fundraisers, and one of the things they do all the time is they have big pancake breakfast and whatnot. In fact, I think it's fair to say, because we are by far the smartest council in the province, we have won the pancake challenge forever, to the point where they finally broke it up. They broke it up and they wouldn't let us win anymore, and I blame CBC for that because they were the people who did it. The CBC broke it up on us, and I'll be damned if our council didn't have to go out there and win that on behalf of everybody again. So we did really well. But more importantly than all of that, our Seniors Independence Group and our Committee on Affordable Housing, which we established just this year under the sponsorship of the city, and with our Deputy Mayor being a very active part of that. They also decided that they would get engaged with the Newfoundland Housing and Homelessness Network and maybe do a pancake lunch, which they did. And so I want to invite Shirley Boone, who's with the Seniors Independence Group and chair of our Affordable Housing Committee, if she would come up as well, along with Georgina Smith, to come up here as well. And I want to introduce Dawn Ford to everybody. Dawn is a city employee representing city staff here in Mount Pearl, and I want her to come as well, because not only was there a pancake luncheon or breakfast by the seniors group to raise money for the Newfoundland Housing and Homelessness Network, there was also a staff component. There was another breakfast that was done here at City Hall in our cafeteria to raise money as well. And that money is about to be presented now. So I'm going to ask all you ladies if you would come forward. And I want Kimberly Dawson-Yetman with the Newfoundland and Labrador Housing and Homelessness Network, if she would come forward. and accept these checks. Apparently, I don't have anything to do here, only get in a picture. I'm walking on Monday, March 26th with the seniors. None of the rest of council are allowed to walk, though, right?
I don't know.
This is my due, right? I can't let them win.
I heard it was you.
I can't let them win any
I
points
heard
here.
it was you.
You can't stop us from following you.
We'll be there, Your Worship.
They can't stop you from following you. I think we'll all walk with the seniors on the 26th. What time are we doing it, by the way?
Yes, Tuesday, yeah.
We're doing it at 12 noon.
It's Tuesday, March 26th.
It's Tuesday, March 26th at 12 noon.
Monday. Dave Baker says it's Tuesday.
Guys, do any of you know the date at all?
He's just trying to mix you up.
All right. Well, first of all, this doesn't work for a check presentation at all. Let's go down front.
Okay.
I don't think that works down there at all. And let's get Kimberly in the middle. All right, who's giving, what is it? Who's pitching, who's catching here? We'll tighten it up a little bit too, folks. We're going to tighten it all up, snuggle in, all right. We're giving checks to Kimberly. All right.
This one is for,
Yeah.
should I say email?
Yes, please.
$605.
Anything else? How do you do?
Well, I don't know how we did exactly, but
Yeah, two.
there's one from the QP Local 2099.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Thank you. All right, folks. Okay. Thank you, folks, very much. Thank you. Our Affordable Housing Committee is proving itself to be quite an asset as we move forward with developing a seniors affordable housing project right here in the city of Mount Pearl. I want to say we are green lighted, but I'm not sure if that's the case. Deputy Mayor, are we close to green lighted now? Not officially yet, but close. I know, we're close. Absolutely. Okay. We have one more presentation that we're going to do today. I'm looking forward to this one especially because it involves a 40th anniversary. And that, of course, is the 40th anniversary of the Mount Pearl Soccer Association. Talk about your volunteer group and the work that they do. I want to welcome to come in, if they would, with me here, the president of the Soccer Association, Jeff Tiller, Kevin Smith, vice president, Ed Moist, who is the co-chair, of course, of the 40th Anniversary Committee, along with Mike Mooney, co-chair of the 40th Anniversary Committee as well. And with them, the two people who are going to unveil the new logo to help launch the 40th year celebration of the association is Brianna Marr, who is an under-10 soccer player, and Evan Kennedy, also an under-10 soccer player. Now, gentlemen, who's going to come up here and talk a little bit about this? Jeff, if you would, Mr. President, and we're going to get the rest of you. I understand we're going to take this out front here a little bit, so why don't you guys do the labor? Move house.
Yes, here, Jim. No, never mind. They're going to move that up in front. That's
Okay, and they're going to move that. All right, and now, Jeff, why don't you, while they're doing all of that, you can perhaps tell us a little bit about the plans for the 40th anniversary.
Well, first of all, thank you all for letting us participate in the beginning of your meeting. The last time I was in this chamber, we came looking for $1.8 million for a turf field 3 years ago. So you'll be happy to know we're not here to do that again today, even though we would love to have a second turf field, but that's a conversation for another day, not today. Indeed.
Indeed, yeah.
Very well reminded. On behalf of Mount Pearl Soccer, I guess, and the 40th anniversary, which happened this year, and we are lucky enough today to have Mr. Ed Moist here, who was one of the founding members of Mount Pearl Soccer 40 years ago.
That's right.
Thank you, Ed, for everything you've done for soccer in the past 40 years. We do have our 40th anniversary. It will be a year-long celebration. The first event is officially taking place on March the 30th, which will be a city-sponsored kickoff meal and some presentations and so on, which will be going on at that. And again, we thank you very much for your support in that aspect of our celebrations. There'll be numerous events that will be unveiled at that time, at that luncheon, which will unveil some of our initial plans for the 40th anniversary.
Excellent.
This logo is the logo that we've decided upon to use as part of our 40th year celebrations. And at this time, I'd ask Evan and Brianna to help unveil it.
All right, hang on now. We want council and everybody wants to see this. Bring it up here, look. Bring it up right here, guys. Bring it up there and leave it against the desk. Okay?
When it's unveiled, it's got to go higher so the camera can pick it up. We'll do it.
Okay? All right, let's do this on the count of 3, all right?
Hold it up to the microphone. Hold it up there, guys. Hold up the sign. Hold it higher. You get a handle on the sign.
Press it right on the desk.
Watch the glass of water.
I get that if you want.
You see you got it?
All right, ready, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Oops.
Almost. That's sharp, guys. That's really nice. Randy? That's really nice. Get right in there.
Keith, you want to get up on the other side?
Thank you, guys. Thank you very
So again, on behalf of Mount Pearl Soccer, we'd certainly like to thank the City of Mount Pearl for all the support you've shown us over the last 40 years, and I'm sure you'll be very supportive in our next 40. Thank you very much. And we have some little appreciation gifts that we're going to give to the council members here right now.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh my gracious.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much. That's great.
And this thing is going to take it off so you can give it back to her again. There you go. That's fine, man. There you go.
I like that. Youth first. I like that, guys.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Brianna, Evan, thank you. You did a great job. Great job, guys.
Especially we're getting all the snow, the more we're going to need these.
That's right.
Especially when I'm outside walking, yeah. Might be 4 hours more. I'm not going to show you my pedometer.
Council, that concludes all of the presentations and proclamations today. We have one piece of correspondence. It is a congratulatory letter, basically from the honourable member for Topsail, of course, the Minister of Services, Newfoundland Services, NL as it's called now. It used to be Government Services and Lands one time. From Mr. Paul Davis, offering congratulations to the city on being named one of the 10 employers of distinction in the province by the Employers Council. And we had the honor with a number of staff of attending their employers' luncheon a little while ago, where our work in that area was indeed recognized and appreciated. And it was a great honor for us to have received that level of recognition and appreciation. Anybody with any other comment or thought on that at this time? Given that one of the things... Councillor Stoyles?
I will speak to it as
Yep.
Chair of Economic Development. I had in my notes to mention this evening until I saw the letter that we did receive the award, but I just wanted to say congratulations to the Liquor Corporation for winning the award, and maybe we should send off a letter of congratulations to them. Maybe it's already done, but they were the ones who actually received the main award at that event. So, and of course, it was great to see our staff, and that I think we had a table down there.
We did.
And it was nice that we took part in recognizing the staff as well.
It was wonderful. One of the things in our strategic plan, which we only just adopted in the fall of 2011, was part of the 4 or 5 points we said for the next 5 years we would look at. And we talked about, instead of continuous growth, we've talked about this before, we would talk about continuous improvement. And we talked in terms of employee retention and employee development, employee training, how to make Mount Pearl the workplace to be if you could get here. This type of validation of the efforts that we've been making up to now, I think is a credit to our management and a credit to our union and a credit to all of the people that work for the citizens of Mount Pearl. And I think we should pass that on to all of them. And I hope that our managers here will pass that along as well to their staff and to their employees. And hopefully there's more for us in the future along that line. Certainly, this was, as I say, a tremendous honor for us. Having said that, we are ready to begin committee reports, or does anybody else have a comment on anything up to now? Hearing none, we're going to move on. Committee reports. We're going to begin with our Public Works Committee. Councillor John Walsh, Chair. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. We'll be brief. The first one deals with the annual collection of household hazardous waste materials that generally collect in our basements, garage, sheds, all various locations. We went again this year and partnered with the MMSB. Apparently we get a much better deal by doing that rather than going out on our own. So we're going to schedule a day. We need the approval of council and support. It's a $15,000 plus tax, I think, expenditure for that. And I'd ask for the support of council for that, and I so move.
It is moved, seconded by Councillor Tessier. Any question or comment? The last one was a huge success for us, right?
The volume is incredible, actually.
Was it all Mount Pearl, or did it come from all over the region?
We don't actually check that, and that's not particularly important. But the most important thing is that we actually get that out of sheds and basements and garages, and it's a safe disposal. We don't check, we
don't look for IDs.
We don't check IDs or the legitimacy of it in terms of. But any time that you can get rid of this and dispose of household hazardous waste in a safe manner like that, I think it's a good initiative. And doing it for $15,000, I know it's an add-on initiative, but I should mention as well that as part of our ongoing partnership with the regional landfill and MMSB, that service is available on a daily basis throughout the weekdays, and I think on Saturdays as well, for drop-off at Robin Hood Bay. So that is part of the partnership agreement that we have with them. So if the particular day for the pickup doesn't work well for you, you can drop down any time and safely dispose of these materials. There's really no need anymore for people to have these chemicals in their homes, in their basements, in the garages, etc. So I just thought I'd mention that as well.
Thank you, sir, very much.
The second thing, Your Worship, deals with and I found this really interesting, actually. I appreciated the director providing a bit of an update on the flyers that we purchased. These flyers spread salt, as you know, much more efficiently and much more evenly. This year, we had probably a bit more snow in January than we actually had last year, and we still managed to save, about $15,000 or so by using the spreader. But look at February, and I know we didn't have a lot of snow in February, but we had a lot of ice and a lot of icing conditions. Sometimes people think just because you didn't have snow that you're not out using salt. Sometimes you're actually using more salt when the conditions are like they've been for the last couple of weeks. But just look at the difference, Your Worship, between the 2 months in 2012 as opposed to 2011. Perhaps not all of it is attributed to use of the flyers, but some of it is for sure, enough to make it noteworthy here. Overall, we've saved an incredible $150,000 just over these 2 months on the use of salt. So whether it's a combination of a number of different initiatives like the addition of the flyers, or perhaps more top-of-mind awareness about how we're using and dispensing and distributing the salt, this is a really good thing. So I certainly applaud the staff on that. While I'm here as well, what I've been doing in the last couple of number of meetings since winter came in actually is to provide you again with a little bit of an update on the status for snow clearing and our winter conditions. And I guess it couldn't be any more timely than it is right now, because tomorrow we have tonight, actually, starting tonight and overnight, we have a fairly significant snowfall predicted at about 25 centimeters of snow, I think beginning 8 or 9 o'clock tonight, throughout the night and into tomorrow. The one thing that I'd like to mention, because it is problematic in the morning, whether work or schools go ahead or are canceled tomorrow, the whole business of actually getting your cars out in the street and leaving them there, a lot of people will, in order to blow snow and clear their driveways, they'll put their cars on the street sometimes, then put them back. I guess it's hard not to put the car on the street, but the important thing is to be aware, to look to see if there are any plows coming through, and put them back immediately once the driveway is cleared, because the last time we had a heavy snowfall, we had a tremendous problem with the number of vehicles that were left on the streets. If you're out blowing snow and the keys are in the car and you're attending to it, that's usually not a problem. People can get them in fairly quickly. So be aware of that. It is a heavy snowfall and accompanied by fairly high winds. So we'd like to get that cleaned up as quickly as we can. Right now, unfortunately, because I'm not a snow lover, we've got all the cul-de-sacs cleared. The sidewalks are being done on an ongoing basis. We're filling in potholes and all those sorts of things as the winter proceeds, but this is going to be a substantial dump. Maybe it'll be the Sheila's brush thing, and we won't get another one around St. Paddy's Day. We may be fortunate enough to get away with that. So just for information purposes only. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That concludes Public Works and Infrastructure. We are going to move on to our Community Services Committee. Councillor Tessier.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item on our agenda has to do with the glacier rental for the Frosty Festival. We have an MOU with the Frosty Festival Committee, and we're recommending that the rental subsidy of $10,000 be released, as it has been done in the past, for costs associated with the use of the glacier for a number of Frosty Festival events, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Tessier, seconded by Deputy Mayor Locke. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Registration for the March-April swimming lessons took place at the pool on Sunday, March the 4th. So if anybody is still looking to register for any swimming lessons, they can certainly call our pool at 748-1005 to inquire about space available. That's just for information only.
Thank you.
The Easter Day Camp is going to run from April 9th to the 13th for grades kindergarten to grade 6. Registration is ongoing at the Reed Center. So again, a phone call will certainly tell you about availability. For the information of the public, the Mount Pearl 20-minute makeover is scheduled from April 28th to June 30th. There's going to be a free kickoff with refreshments at the Reed Center on Saturday, April 28th from 9 till 10 in the morning. And of course, as we well know, this is, I don't know if this is the third year, fourth year for this, probably more, that we've been doing this makeover. And we've all seen it. We've all taken part in it. We can see what 20 minutes truly, with a handful of people, what a difference it makes. We'll supply you with garbage bags. We will come and pick up the garbage at a location that you designate and let us know about. And it's just an absolutely tremendous way to help make a difference in your community, to help make our spring cleanup a little easier, a little less painful, because we know that after the winter melt, it's going to be quite a mess to contend with, and we all like a nice, clean, tidy neighborhood. This 20-minute makeover has been a wonderful success for several years now, and we're looking forward to that success continuing this year again. The Kenmount Park Community Center is now having a little more use. We've got an after-school program there that we are actually facilitating with some of our staff. We've got some experienced staff from our summer day camp program. They're certified, of course, in first aid and high-five principles of healthy child development. And, of course, that's going to start from February 27th to June 8th, so it's already started. The first 2 weeks, I think there was a free trial offered to everybody. It's $5 per day starting on March the 12th. And again, the age groups are from K to 6, and the times will run from 3 until 6 p.m. So that's a great help for anybody who likes to avail of that. And of course, people can contact Sean McKenna here at the city if they have any questions about it or they require more information. And along that same vein, we're doing a teen drop-in center as well in the same location, and the times are listed from 6 till 10:30 p.m., so 6 in the evening till 10:30 p.m., and on Saturdays from 2:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. The times can be expanded, of course, if there's a big uptake on this, the times can certainly be assessed. And the age group is ages 13 to 18 years, and most activities, get this, are free of charge. There might be some special activities that'll take place, and if there is, there may be a cost associated with that. But this is a free service that teenagers can avail of in that area during that time, should they wish, which is a wonderful use of our facility as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, Gary Fraser is the contact for that. All anybody has to do is contact the city. If they want to reach Gary, of course, his phone number as well directly is 748-1010. And I got to tell you, this must be the year of get yourself in shape and eat well and take care of yourself, because there's never been so much between the Municipalities Challenge, of course, Nutrition Month, and now Mount Pearl is part of something called Live Right Now. It's a challenge. Live Right Now is a website that you can go on, www.liverightnow.ca, and you can actually sign up to Mount Pearl. You can join a community, and you can join Mount Pearl, and Live Right Now essentially is encouraging people to live healthier. You can actually go on and do a risk assessment survey of yourself to check your risk assessment for heart disease or stroke or heart attack or stroke. You can test your caloric savvy, which has more calories, this or that. I'm sure that most of us would be quite surprised every now and then when we think we're doing really, really well eating our salad with 3 tablespoons of dressing. We might want to give that some thought. There's some recipes there, and of course when you join Mount Pearl you can create events, issue challenges, and you rack up points. And we want Mount Pearl to be the Live Right Now capital of Canada. So
Sounds like fun.
We're going to encourage everybody to go on there to participate. Again, if anybody needs any more information about that, they can contact Sean McKenna here at the city. But again, I'd encourage anybody with council, anybody who wants to participate, wants to issue the challenge, because we understand now, we've seen it firsthand, that when challenges are issued around here, it gets pretty hot, it gets pretty heated, I have to say. So, but again, it's all for the betterment of our health and wellness. So the purpose of this is to live a healthier lifestyle. As we all know, there's so many positives, so many benefits that come with that. So I'd encourage anybody to go on that website, to join Mount Pearl, to issue some challenges to their friends, their neighbors, their co-workers, get moving, and make it happen. That's it.
Thank you for that. Anybody with questions or comments or anything on that? If not, we're going to move to our Corporate Services Committee. Deputy Mayor Locke.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'm going to try to speak up tonight. I was speaking with a resident the weekend who watches our telecasts, and they mentioned that other than you, the councillors are tough to hear. So I said, well, this week I will try to be
And I don't have control of the microphone,
no,
so
no,
it's not me.
I'm not blaming anybody. I know one time we had it turned up and we were getting feedback, I think, so we had to, remember it was the echo, so I said I would try to speak a little more loudly today. Anyways, the first time, Your Worship, has to do with some professional development for our mayor to attend the Offshore Technology Conference being held April 30th to May 3rd, 2012 in Houston. And this, of course, is in accordance with our professional development and training policy, and I move that this request be accepted as presented.
Moved and seconded. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, is for professional and development and training for our CAO to attend the Professional Municipal Administrators Annual Conference being held in Corner Brook from April the 18th to April the 20th, 2012. And again, this is in accordance with our professional development and training policy, and I move that this request be accepted.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Locke, seconded by Councillor Aker. Questions? Comments? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, is an information piece here, and it has to do with the Partners for Life recognition. The committee was advised that on February the 9th of 2012, the Canadian Blood Services held their annual recognition event, and some of our city employees attending the event included Alison Piercy, the city's champion of Partners for Life, and supporters Sean McKenna, Bernice Mercer, and Colleen Butler. And at the event, the City of Mount Pearl was presented with a certificate of recognition for their support of the Partners for Life program, the blood donation program. And to date, just to note, in 2012, our 40 or so employees that are signed up as partners have met 22.5% of our annual goal of donating blood. So kudos to our employees to participate in this. And again, 40 employees are involved with this Partners for Life program.
You can also, Your Worship, I just want to say, your family can also go to Scout Partners. So if if somebody is a staff person, they wanted,
their family can register as part of this partnership.
As part of the partnering
Okay.
as well.
All right.
So I just wanted to mention that because, I think they started that a while ago, and anybody who
That's
works
good.
at the city or council and wants to partner or family to come, they can join as well.
Okay, thank you. And the last item, Your Worship, are the invoices for approval, and we have a yellow sheet outside the kit. We have 7 outlined there, and they total $986,000. $986,068.35, and I move that this amount be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Aker. Any questions or comments, again, on anything relating to invoices for approval?
Your worship.
Yeah, he's being very loud, is he?
I'll try to speak up too. But your worship,
Councillor Aker?
just for clarification, $550,000 in capital grant to Brand Concourse. What does that go towards paying? It doesn't. It's not operating money. It's grant money. I'm just wondering, can somebody clarify what's included in that?
Yes.
Softball.
Mr. Silver? Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's related to work they're doing at Team Guju Complex at the softball building. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, we will call it. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
And that's it for me, Your Worship.
And that concludes corporate services. Next is engineering services. Councillor Ledwell.
Your Worship. Try to speak up as well. Shouldn't know.
Yeah, this guy could have been a broadcaster. He really could. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I missed my calling.
Well, what is it that they say in the industry? You got the pipes, son.
Thank you, I guess. First item we have this evening is a proposal to renew preventative maintenance services, lift stations. We've reviewed an enclosed letter from a company called Xylem outlining a proposal to review the current preventative maintenance agreement for the city's lift stations, which number 7 in total. It should be noted the contract cost includes a biannual inspection and fully detailed inspection reports. So the recommendation from the committee is that approval be allowed to renew the preventative maintenance agreement with Xylem for the city's 7 lift stations for the quoted amount of $1,609.65 per inspection plus HST, and I so move.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Any question, comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary-minded, motion's carried.
Okay, the second item is provided for information purposes only, and it gives me great pleasure to report that the tender call has been issued for our new multiplex. The ProGame multiplex, of course, has been a highly anticipated project here in the city for a number of months now, and we're very happy that the tender call has gone out. It is anticipated that the construction will take 26 months from the time that the tender is awarded, and the third contract of the project will incorporate a youth center, a fitness area, walking track, and swimming pool. It's going to be an energy-efficient facility using advanced technologies already in place in the first 2 phases of the project, which of course involve the Glacier Arena and the ProGate area itself. This facility will be in place for many years. It will provide residents for all kinds of opportunities for recreational services. There'll be opportunities for residents of all ages, and we're very pleased that the tender call has gone out.
Amen to that.
Next item is regards to the softball hut, of course. Just an update on the construction of the Team Guju softball hut. It's ongoing. The anticipated date of completion is the end of June 2012. And of course, that'll be to accommodate the softball leagues for the 2012 season. And finally, our final item for today, with regards to the gazebo, we're just out here in Centennial Park. Engineering Services has arranged a tender call for the height modification of the gazebo located out here at Centennial Park. The tender call was advertised in the March 3rd edition of the Telegram, and the tender documents are available starting actually just yesterday on March 5th. The tender is scheduled to close on March 19th. That's all for me.
I have a question, actually.
Thank you. Councillor Tessier?
Back to the multiplex. When is the tender schedule? When's the tender closing date?
March 23rd.
Is that listed there?
Yeah.
March 23rd, is it?
On March 23rd. The tender close on March 23rd at 2 p.m. That is in the paper in the tender there.
Okay, thank you. Wasn't a motion required on that, was there, on that last item? It's information only. We're moving now to planning and land use. Planning and land use development. That is Councillor Aker.
Yeah, Your Worship, there's, I guess it's the way the document was sorted, but near the tail end of the engineering report, there's an item there for Esri Canada and the calendar.
Right, I saw it. Yeah, okay, sorry.
I'll begin with that, and then we'll just
all right, you want to start there?
Yes, thank you.
All right, that's fine.
Esri Canada basically is our technology provider when it comes to map and GIS services for the city of Mount Pearl. And over the past few years, they've often showcased some of the maps that they support and they produce. Prior to 2012, this was done based on paper maps. Starting in 2012, they switched over to showcasing maps that basically are on public websites and are driven by GIS type applications. They approached the city and basically they have a competition which basically identifies 12 basic maps on their system or supported by their engine. And in those maps, basically, they've asked the city to provide what we show on our website. And the result is, basically, we are being showcased as one of the 12 maps. We are Miss or Mr. December for 2012.
We're December.
Yes, we are December, right, you know. And
We're
I'm assuming
Mr.
when they
December.
ranked them, Your Worship, they went in reverse order, right? But, you know, if you've used our map on our website, the interactive map, you'll find it's
Right.
very, very useful. Not only does it allow you to drill down to the city by civic address and by street, but it shows water courses, it shows the planning zones. It's a very interactive map. And if you look at December there, which you can see now, and if you take those calendars home, you will see again later in the year, you can be thinking of Mount Pearl, the only map, by the way, showcased in 2012 from Newfoundland. Ecuador.
At the risk of sounding like Sarah Palin, I can see my house. I can see my
Can you
house.
really?
You can, yes.
You can see your house from here.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can.
So I'd like to say congratulations in particular to Harold Fleet, he was a member of the planning department staff. Harold did all the coordination of this, and it really is a good promotional tool for the city, and I'm sure he, along with Director Yefchuk and your staff, are very proud of what is being showcased here. And that was for the information of council.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, sir, very much.
Was that the gavel?
Yep. We're not done though.
The next item, Your Worship, pertains
Deputy
to a application for a subdivision and a double dwelling at 16 Sunrise Avenue. This is coming to council's attention, coming out of a discretionary use and a briefing session that we held in December, whereby a triplex on Sunrise Avenue at this address was turned down. Now the proponent has come back and applied for the ability to subdivide that lot and basically reconfigure a semi-detached unit which is already there, but reconfigure it basically as two units facing Sunrise Avenue, as well as subdividing the lot. There will be some minor modifications made to the front of the existing home, and in addition to that, a two-story townhouse-type dwelling will be built next to it. And you can see for the pictures are right there. This is within the RMD zone regulations. We can approve this. And I thought I'd bring it to council's attention, just given we had a bit of a controversy. We had some of our neighbors on Sunrise who came out and spoke against this. But I just want to emphasize that this is according to our regulations. I feel it's a better fit than the triplex, which would have been 3 units, which would have been 2-story each. You do have a 2-story house here, but I think it blends in nicely with the neighborhood, as you can see from the pictures. Yeah. And I'd like to move that council approve the application for this dwelling to proceed.
It is moved by Councillor Raker, seconded by Councillor Ledwell, Councillor Stoyles, and then Councillor Walsh.
I was just going to ask a question, actually, Your Worship, because we're not having a public hearing on this, so the residents, we feel that the residents are going to be quite happy with this compared to what the other proposal was. So there's no public hearing scheduled for this at all. It's just straightforward, and it's something that's within our regulations. Mr.
Correct.
Yefchuk?
Well, let me go to Councillor Walsh. Or defer to Mr. Yefchuk first. Go ahead, Mr. Yefchuk.
Thank you, Your Worship. All joking aside, you're correct, Councillor Stoyles. Yeah, there's no need for a public briefing session on this matter. It does meet all the regulations. It's a permitted use. However, what we have done at the direction of the Planning and Land Use Development Committee is correspondence has gone out to all the people that attended the previous briefing session, advising them that there was this application was being considered by council and was recommended for approval or approved, and just to make them aware that when they did see the construction, that it was for semi-detached dwelling and not a triplex. So that hopefully that would avoid a number of phone calls and inquiries.
So did we get any complaints or any calls? We didn't receive any, did we?
Well, the letter just went out.
The letter just went out.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to comment on the fact that I know that in bringing forth the application, Councillor Egger, I know there's a huge difference, and I'm glad you mentioned that the original application was one that was not in compliance with either our regulations or necessarily our. Well, actually, I think it did suit our zoning, but not our building regulations. So, and I guess what it is, it's indicative of the fact that we did listen to the concerns of the residents. I do understand, I think council fully understood, that having a triplex in the neighborhood is substantially different than a duplex. The duplexes exist throughout many of the residential neighborhoods in Mount Pearl, including where I live, and many other medium-density residential dwellings. This is a great fit. If you look at, obviously, the photo, as a couple of people already mentioned, it's actually a spectacular-looking dwelling, and I think it's an example of City Council being in tune with the residents, the neighborhood, and to Councillor Stoyle's point, I think we have the discretion anytime to go for public consultation. That's part of the discretion that we reserve as a council. In this case, because it was completely in compliance with the regulations and suited our zoning, there was really no need to do that. But I think it was at the discretion or at the direction of the entire council, actually, not just the planning committee, that we asked that the letter be issued to all the people who attended the initial public hearing. And I think that's how that went down, and I'm glad to know that that's in progress as well. I don't think the residents will or should have any problems with this whatsoever. It's a great-looking development, and I thank both the developer and our own planning staff for being amenable to some of the changes and coming up with something that is, I think, far more suitable to the neighborhood than what was originally proposed. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. I'll call the question on that then. No other comments? All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. The next item has to do with archival air photos. The city does have an inventory of air photos within its, I guess, stored on its computer systems and the like. And you can see them listed there. We have a total of 5 years. We have the opportunity to purchase certain select years, anywhere from 1941, which I notice in black and white, all the way up to 1985 black and white. And for some reason, there's a 1978 color catalog that's also available. We obtained 3 quotes, basically to have this. What we have to do, I guess, basically is get the photos and then convert them so that we can use them on our computer systems and the like. And the 3 quotes you see there range from $2,950 plus HST to $10,135.50. And I so move that the Northway Photomap Remote Sensing Company be awarded the work for the total of $2,950. And I so move.
Moved. Seconded. Question or comment? Hearing none, we'll call it. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Next item, Your Worship, is a notice of motion. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act 1988, take notice that in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will, at a regular meeting of Council, move an amendment to the text of the Mount Pearl noise regulations that, if enacted, will update numerous sections of the regulations to reflect current approaches to the regulating of sound and noise in an urban environment, dated today.
We will look forward to that.
Yes. And another notice of motion. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act 1988, take notice that in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will, at a regular meeting of Council, move an amendment to the text of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 that, if enacted, will, in Section 6, General Development Standards, add a section titled Heat Pumps immediately after Section 6.15, which provides for the location and separation distances of heat pumps from dwellings. The purpose of this amendment is to specify the location of heat pumps on properties in relation to dwellings on adjacent lots, dated today.
Thank you, sir, for that. Does that conclude planning?
No, I have a couple more items.
Permit list?
I'd like to move the development permit list, permits number 10 through 12 for the period February 20th to March 2nd, and I so move.
Moved. Seconded by Councillor Ledwell. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Now we have building permits. For the period February 18th to March 2nd, the residential for the period is $30,000. The commercial for the period is $220,000, and I so move both.
Moved. Seconded. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Now, just two more items, Your Worship. These were the two items that were
are outside.
of the
Yep.
kit. Yeah, okay. City of Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010, Amendment number 2 for 2012 as it pertains to civic numbers 15, 17, 19, and 21 Simcoe Drive. Currently, they are zoned as RSU3, which is residential medium RSU3 does not permit subsidiary apartments, but these lots are wide enough that you can put apartments in these houses. They're wider than the rest of the lots in this subdivision. The developers requested that we rezone this to basically to RMD, which would allow for the purposes of constructing houses with single-family dwellings with subsidiary apartments. And this is consistent with what they used to be zoned at. Apparently, at a time prior to now, the developer asked that it be RSU3, and now they want to go back to RMD. We really see no issue. If you look at where these are located on Simcoe, you can see that they're adjacent to, I believe it's properties as you come up on, I believe it's Frontenac, and they're all zoned RMD. So as you're coming up and you turn the corner, that RMD class.
It's a consistent zoning.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And basically, we had two inquiries. We did a public consultation process. We had two inquiries, but we never had any follow-up on that. A briefing session was scheduled. Nobody basically stated they were coming. So it is our perception that we have no opposition, no constructive feedback required or coming in on this particular issue, and I'd like to move the rezoning.
Moved, seconded. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
All right, the final item, it relates to 2 Panther Place, and this is Hannaberry Engineering on behalf of Schlumberger Canada. They have a proposal to build a building which is 21.3 meters in height. The standard, according to our light industrial use zone schedule, is 15 meters. The difference can be approved by council. It's subject to a discretionary process. And through a public consultation by advertising in the Telegram, as well as notifying the neighbors, we've received no negative feedback to date, and I'd like to move that we, at our discretion, that we approve the application that Schlumberger has in.
Moved, seconded. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried. We are indeed growing up. Thank you so much. That concludes committee reports. We're up to new business. Last time we started here on my right. We'll start on the left today. So, Councillor Aker, you can keep the floor if you wish.
I get the floor again. Thank you so much. I've got a couple of things I wanted to briefly mention. On a sad note, the passing of Zach Pittman. Your Worship, could you send a kind card of condolences, perhaps it's already done, from the city to the family? The Pittmans have been involved with, well, I know them through soccer, and also I know Bob is an educator. I think when my kids were coming through school, Bob taught them both math, and as they went through the soccer program, the Pittmans, Brad, Zach, and Bob, I think refereed probably half of their games. Zach will be sadly missed, and he was an all-around good guy, and I really, at this time, I think we really feel for how good we have it compared to some others. So I'd like to express condolences on behalf of the city. Thank you. Also want to make a note about a fellow named Mr. Angus Barrett. Gus Barrett has been involved with soccer at the regional level from Newfoundland and Labrador, including Mount Pearl and St. John's for the past 50 years. He's a member of the St. John's Soccer Hall of Fame, the Mount Pearl Soccer Hall of Fame, and I believe the Newfoundland and Labrador Soccer Hall of Fame. Well, Gus has just been inducted into the Canadian Soccer Hall of Fame, and I think it would be appropriate, Your Worship, for something that's really monumental when you think about it, right? You know, he's been involved for over 50 years. Perhaps we could send Gus a letter of congratulations.
We would do that. Be honored to
he was
furnish
involved with
Mona
soccer before even Mount Pearl Soccer started up.
That's right.
It was 40 years ago, as we saw
That's
that
right. Yep.
Earlier on today, right? You know?
Yeah, you furnish that bit of information. We will gladly do it.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. And I just want to throw it on a positive note. I read in the Telegram, I think it was on Monday, and it had to do with the interaction and communication between Mount Pearl's council and the City of St. John's council. I'm going to take a positive note on this one. I noted that Councillor Walsh from Mount Pearl was interviewed along with Councillor Tom Hand from St. John's, and basically I think the article talked about the sniping has to stop. And I tend to agree, both with Councillor Walsh, who sees this not only from Mount Pearl's perspective, but from a regional perspective. I served with Councillor Hand, like you do, Councillor Walsh, on several regional committees, and I must say the The tone at those meetings, the level of cooperation is normally quite high. I serve on Eastern Waste with several members of St. John City Council, and for some reason we can always sit down, get along, and get things done. So on a positive note, I'd like to throw out some kudos to both Councillor Walsh and Councillor Hand. Maybe this marks a fork in the road to true regional cooperation, constructive cooperation. That's all I have to say, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Tessier.
I ran into Councillor Collins at the Price Club over the weekend, and he saw the pedometer strapped on my waist, and he made a comment about it, and he said he's got his on as well, and he laughed, and he said when he went home he was going to strap it onto the dog. So,
on the tail.
That's right. He said he's going to strap it onto his beagle.
That might work.
Yeah. Couple of things. I also wanted to express condolences to the Pittman family. I mean, like many of us here, Bob and Karen, they go beyond just parent-teacher relationships. They become friends. And I spoke with Bob 3 weeks ago, and because I had run into Bob and Zachary on the golf course. Zachary took up golfing, actually, in recent years, and he and his dad would travel across the province golfing as their getaway. And Bob told me that even 3 weeks ago they were looking forward to planning their trip for this summer coming.
Sad.
So it's a tremendously sad situation, and I wanted to express my condolences to their family as well. This morning was garbage day in my neighborhood, and of course we're in winter months, so now nobody needs to cover their garbage, but I will tell you that seagulls woke me up, tearing up some garbage just down the street from us, and crows. So I think it's really important that even though we don't need to cover our garbage, we still need to be cognizant, because they made quite a mess, and unless it's been cleaned up, it's going to be buried by the snow tonight, and it's going to be there for us when we do our makeover. And that's one example of many, many, many. So I think that we need to be...
Isn't it April 1st?
April 1st?
So we're about 3 weeks?
So it's not much longer. But the crows coming out, or the crows and the seagulls coming out now is indicative that, they're around now.
Maybe it shouldn't be April 1st. Maybe
They're
it
around
needs to
now.
be earlier. Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to remind residents that even though it is still winter, and even though you don't technically need to cover your garbage, they're tearing it up now. It's going to be a mess. So we should all be a little cognizant of that. A couple of good news stories now. The Special Olympians, of course, are going away to the National Games, and they're back home. Actually, they got home last Sunday night. Sunday night. Several Mount Pearl Special Olympians were on that team, and while many Olympians placed in medal divisions, I want to highlight some of Mount Pearl's residents. Megan Hounsel, who we all know from Mount Pearl Senior High, she was in the gold. She won gold in Division F2 for cross-country skiing, for the 100-meter cross-country skiing. So she won a gold medal for that. She also won a bronze medal for Division F4 for cross-country skiing in 500 meters. And we've got the floor hockey team. The floor hockey team were actually slated to play in Division C, but because they did so well in preliminary play, they were actually moved up to Division B. They made it to the bronze medal game, but they fell a little short, and they finished in 4th place. But on that team, the Mount Pearl members are Travis Sevier, Matthew Kelly, Matthew Martin, Eddie Hines, Eddie Furlong, Willie Winters, Nick Stiles, Dave Winter, Leslie LeGros, Andrew Hines, Andrew Ash, Bradley Murphy, Mark Peddle, Leslie Ann Barrett, Nadia Brinton, and Kayla McDonald. And I think we're so proud of all the athletes. The send-off was tremendous. I'm sure at the airport on Sunday night they probably had equally as good an arrival party for them. But they definitely have made us very, very proud as Mount Pearlers and as Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to represent us so well at those games. Now, one of our own has also been recognized. We have a counselor here, Counselor Andrew Ledwell. He's our rookie counselor. You'll lose that handle when a new person comes, but you're stuck with it until then. I'm sorry. Andrew works with the Canada Revenue Agency, and they like to recognize their exceptional and creative workforce. And Andrew has been recognized for his excellence in community service. He actually won the 2011 National Public Service Award of Excellence with Community Service.
Well done, brother. Well done for you. Well done.
Now, I believe, Andrew, you'll be traveling to Halifax to receive that award in the very near future, but of course, we all know that Andrew has been very involved in our city for many years with Scouts, with the Knights of Columbus, with his church, with different youth and sport groups. So anyway, it's Frosty Festival, City Days, So it's well deserved. Canada Revenue Agency are wise to recognize you, and they'll be wise to hang on to you. So congratulations to
I
you.
think we should throw a big barbecue in your honor. At his house.
On
No,
April
not on
28th.
April 28th, like now.
Anyway, congratulations, Andrew.
Congratulations, Andrew. Well done. We are indeed truly proud of you. Well done.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations, sir. Councillor Ledwell. Your Worship, I'd like to start out as well extending condolences to the Pittman family. I had the pleasure to teach Zachary 2 courses at high school, and it was said here, it reminds us of how lucky we are. I mean, if anyone had room to complain, Zachary had room to complain. But not once did he ever complain about anything. He didn't complain about homework or assignments or... So again, it was a very, very sad day. I had a lump in my throat when, I found out the news because, this is a young kid that had a lot of spirit and he touched a lot of lives. So my condolences to the Pittman family. 2 other things, Your Worship. I know line painting, or was it on your show today? I heard
Lack of line painting.
Yes.
Lack of lines, period.
Yes, I know. I spoke to Mr. Antle on this with respect to the industrial park out there in terms of one turn in particular, and there's absolutely no markings on the road at all. I know it has to be paved and stuff like that, but I'm just wondering, in the meanwhile, I know the temperature has to be, a certain temperature to paint and stuff like that. But is there something we can do in the interim on a short-term basis, even if we just put dots as opposed to full lines, just some sort of reflective marker to let people know? Because I've had numerous people say that coming around that turn in the nighttime, if there's trucks and stuff like that, it's hazardous. You have no knowledge of where the lines are. I'm familiar with the area. Yeah, I'm familiar with the area. So anybody who's not, I still have difficulties figuring out what. And I understand that we can't actually paint it permanently, but is there something we could do? I throw that back to committee. Maybe we could have a look at, see if there's something we can do on a temporary basis. I know sometimes they put like little spots on the road prior to painting. That would certainly be better than nothing there at all, because it is quite a hazard up there. And also, Councillor Walsh mentioned about the salting and stuff like that. And during the cold temperatures, I don't know if it's officially our policy to salt the sidewalks. I do know sometimes that I see the pardon me? Just an overspray. But I was just wondering now, especially with the frigid temperatures that we had, and maybe it comes to a point where salt is ineffective. I know it can get too cold to use salt. But in particular, the school zones that I saw, that the sidewalks became so iced that kids were forced to walk out in the streets simply because it was, with the incline on the sidewalks, it was a little hazardous. So I don't know if in situations where we get into the deep freeze or the freezing rain and stuff like that, if it's something that we could look at just, in certain zones, like I said, because I'm thinking of the O'Donnell Intermediate Zone, St. Peter's, Mount Pearl Senior High. You've got thousands of kids walking to and from these restaurants up there at lunchtime. And again, in a lot of cases, on several days, they were quite slick. So coming back, we saw a lot of kids actually walking in Ruth Avenue. So from a safety perspective, I wonder if I can also throw that out there for consideration in the future. And that is it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Stoyles?
Yes, Your Worship, I have a number of things. I do want to pass off my sympathies to the Pittman family, and also, Your Worship, several other residents of Mount Pearl passed away in the past couple of weeks, and Frank Mercer is at the funeral home actually as we speak today, who's a long-term resident of Mount Pearl, 59-year-old man. Anita Kell, she was a member of our Seniors Independence group for a long time, and I was at her funeral actually last week. And Winston Rose Buck is well known to most of us in Mount Pearl. I've known Mr. Rose for quite a while, and he passed away last week as well. So I wanted to mention that they have cards sent out to those people as well. And I also wanted to mention, to Your Worship, the Special Olympics. I last week attended the send-off to them last Sunday night down at Mall 1, and it was certainly uplifting to be there, and to have the Premier speak and to be there as they all were getting ready to go off. And of course I won't mention all the names, as Councillor Tessier had mentioned all the names, but I did have them here to mention. But I certainly wanted to mention Megan Hounsell for bringing home a gold medal, which was great. So I wanted to mention that, Your Worship. Also, the mentioned Andrew. Andrew was highlighted in the Telegram this weekend in 20 questions, and that was certainly congratulations on your award, Andrew. I knew you were going to be going away to get your award, so I understand it's Monday of next week that you're going to be Monday. So good luck with your trip. And
If you don't fix our taxes.
But the 20 questions was certainly interesting, and so glad to see that you were recognised in that way as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, Your Worship.
Did you notice that when he was asked about the 5 CDs in his player, did anybody notice that he used the 5 major genres of music? He had a country, he had a pop, he had a rock and roll, he had a classic, a little R&B. He was offending no music aficionado. He loved them all. Did you notice that? Very well-rounded, yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention, Your Worship, was the Harry J. Bartlett hockey team. Of course, they played their final game on Sunday. And
yes, our hearts were broken, actually.
Our council was there, and it's too bad that they didn't make the playoffs. But I wanted to say great job, and a great thank you goes out, I guess, to Harry Bartlett and the sponsors for the team. It's great having them, and I hope they're going to be back in Mount Pearl again next year, and I'm sure they will be. And the 807 cadets are doing a card game on Sunday down at the Park Place, and they asked me to mention that if anybody wanted to play 120 or Texas Hold'em. It's 3 to 6, which is a different time. They're going to try and do it 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I know I'm planning on going down to play Texas Hold'em, so if anybody is interested in going down, it'd be great. But, Your Worship, I have something hot off of the press, as they would say. Some interesting news for municipalities all across the province. M&L is going to be hosting a special emergency meeting this coming Monday at the Capitol Hotel, Monday morning at 10:30. The email came in just as we started council talking about the government bringing down their budget, and as the email goes, it says, given the Premier's recent statement in the media and discussions earlier today with Minister O'Brien, it is clear that the provincial government will not be doing much for municipalities in their upcoming budget. And M&L had a meeting today with the City of St. John's, and they're planning on having a meeting with you, Your Worship, and other municipalities. And on this coming Monday, they're going to have an emergency meeting to start the talks. And
And they're doing this where and when?
Now I'm after losing it again. The Capitol Hotel. Well, the information will be coming out, but apparently they wanted to get municipalities talking, and that before the budget is done, hopefully they can change some, I guess, the minds of the government. They want councillors to speak to the MHAs and talk about what we need to do, and there's meetings going to be taking place with the towns and everything, but the main meeting's going to take place. They're going to be sending out the information.
Okay.
So
Thank
we
you.
just wanted to mention that they really have a lot of concerns, especially with a lot of the small towns, and that are really having difficulties with financial issues.
Thank you. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you, Your Worship. Like others, I'm glad. I already obviously paid my respects to the Pittmans, but I'm glad it was mentioned today and highlighted today. A very sad occasion, and I just want to acknowledge that as well. The solution to the gulls and the garbage and the crows hopefully we'll have a more suitable and more permanent solution to that soon enough. Because I think the nets are really only what they're supposed to be. They're a bit of a cover-up for it, but they're not really a solution. So stay tuned. We'll have something more to say on that in the next little while. Your Worship, just prior to the start of the meeting today, I probably did council a bit of a favor. I met with a gentleman by the name of Wayne Ivany, who's been communicating relating to heat pumps. I'm going to table some information. I have some information here, Your Worship, from the City of Ottawa, where they have regulations that govern air conditioners, heat pumps, compressors, condensers, chillers, cooling towers, and going through these, this is one from Saanich, BC. There was a national study done on heat pump emissions. It seems that the standard in the industry seems to be about 50 decibels, and that seems to be an acceptable standard. So I know we have to talk about some of the specifics, and this is not the most suitable place necessarily to do that, but I do want to mention that there are regulations in place across the country that govern these, and Mr. Ivany has been, I think, fairly patient. The one thing that I want to say, by way of conclusion, to address this issue is that these heat pumps don't have to be activated during the nighttime in order to have the furnace be effective. The heat pump is simply an external source using a compression system where it can activate the furnace to kick in or to cut out during winter months. It can still operate effectively without it. In fact, the heat pump in question last year, and definitely last year, and if I'm not mistaken, the year before, was actually shut off. So when you're getting emissions in the area of 68 to 72 and 73 decibels, and I don't know if you know anything more than I do about sound decibels, but once you get to a certain stratosphere, if you like, of sound, every decibel is actually tripled. When you get up to 70, 75 decibels, it's really unbearable. So we have to have a look at it. I was pleased that we did bring a notice of motion in this evening to handle a couple of things, and obviously we're not permitted to actually discuss these because they're notices of motion. But good that we're able to do that. So I just want to highlight that, and hopefully we can discuss it a little further, in particular related to Mr. Ivany's case. But suffice to say, he's short on patience, is very, very angry, very upset, and he would like to get something done ASAP, yesterday if possible. The only other thing I want to mention, there was a huge splash in the paper other than Councillor Ledwell on the weekend. And that was on Best Boy Productions. I read it with a little bit of interest because they opened the expansion to the studio. I know that Councillor Tessier was at that and I think was involved in bringing greetings on behalf of council. But Ed Martin and his staff there are talking about low-budget films are in the area of $1 million to $1.5 million. Now, that's not low budget in my world, but I guess in the film industry it's kind of low end for sure. But if they do 3 a year, in addition to the humongous amount of work that they already do at that production studio, they employ 35 people, which is no small feat in and of itself. That's an additional $3 to $4.5 million a year if they do that as they plan to do. So good for them. Just wanted to pass along congratulations to Ed and all of the staff at Best Boy. They're growing and expanding with offices in London. They're just doing a great job, and it's really great to see. And it's kind of hard to get your head around the fact that there's a TV production or a movie production studio right here below us on Park Avenue in Mount Pearl. A little hard to even comprehend that sometimes, but it is, and it's a beautiful facility, and congratulations to all of them.
Yeah, they're doing great work over there. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too want to extend condolences to the family and friends of Zachary Pittman. It has to be a very difficult time for them, obviously, dealing with the loss of life so young. So certainly send out our heartfelt condolences to them. I also want to thank Councillor Tessier and all of Council for their kind words and congratulatory wishes. Certainly to win an award of a national variety is a big honor. But as a volunteer, you don't set out to do that kind of thing either. So it's certainly a big honor, and I'm absolutely thrilled to death to have been chosen for that award. So thank you very much to all. I also want to wish the Special Olympics athletes well. They always do represent us so well when they go away to national competitions like the recent National Games. And having had the opportunity to serve on the Board of Directors of Special Olympics Mount Pearl and getting to know a lot of these athletes, I know that these competitions and just the fun and fellowship that exists within Special Olympics means the absolute world to them. I too attended the send-off at Club 1, and I can tell you that you'd have to peel them off the ceiling. Quite literally, they're that excited. A couple of them will come up and say, "Oh, we're going to win it for Mount Pearl. We're going to win it for Mount Pearl." And I know they had a great time. I've had a chance to speak to a couple of them since they came back, and a big congratulations to them. Finally, I just wanted to make mention of, I guess it's kind of timely that we had the proclamation for Volunteer Week earlier this evening. The Citizen of the Year banquet for the City of Mount Pearl, of course, is happening during Volunteer Week. It's being held on April 14th. And, of course, nomination packages have gone out to most of the community groups, and they're available through the city. I just wanted to encourage all community groups and even all residents to think about nominating a volunteer in this city for that prestigious award, because I know there are so many volunteers out there that make the city go round and make so many things happen. So I want to encourage all of our people out there to find that special someone that really makes a difference in the community and put a nomination forward, because our volunteers truly are the heart of our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, very much. One final thought. This weekend past, the Urban Municipalities Committee of the I will say the NLFM, won't I? Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador, of course, hosted a meeting in the city of St. John's. We had the pleasure of attending both Friday night and most of the day Saturday. There's an interesting study that was done that's about to come out about litter. In actual fact, a study was commissioned by MMSB to deal with issues of litter and garbage. One of the things they were talking about, which I don't think we've had a particular problem with in Mount Pearl as such, and that's the issue of indiscriminate dumping. Now, where we've seen some indiscriminate dumping in the city of Mount Pearl has been primarily in the river. Is where we've seen that, as evidenced by the stuff we took out of that river this past summer. But they did a study, and they actually did it over 20 different areas along the Trans-Canada Highway to deal with litter. What do you collect? Guess what the number one item is? It's a coffee cup. It's a coffee cup is the number one item. That and the leftover dredges of other fast food. The number one litter item. And what the UMC is going to be doing along with, and the group that did this study for them, by the way, was Bay Newplan. What we're going to be doing, the Urban Municipalities Committee, along with councils like ours, are going to be asking for and seeking suggestions based on that study when it's released on what exactly can we do to deal with these issues of litter. And I think in terms of, for example, the situation right now on the fence across the street from Dominion, where a lady called again this week and filed another complaint. We're going to physically have to go up there ourselves and clean it up. And they've already been at it, I hope. And what happens to flyers? What happens to all of this stuff that just blows around our community? And it's evidence more now as we move into spring than any other time of year, I think, to be perfectly honest. But just to let you know that activity has been underway, and it proved to be a pretty interesting piece of work that they've done. I'm looking forward to being able to table it here with council. The meetings were very strong. It's interesting that you made reference to, I don't know they should have called it an emergency meeting, but you made reference to the fact there's going to be a meeting held. At the UMC meetings on the weekend, one of the things that got brought up and discussed was the reality of, is there really any serious consideration on the part of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador to provide a new fiscal arrangement for municipalities? I think there was a feeling within the room that there was not. I was encouraged yesterday with the throne speech when reference was actually made to it. But subsequent to it, I heard an interview with the Premier. And that interview specifically dealt with one matter only, and that was a means of improving municipal operating grants. Well, that's not what municipalities, Newfoundland and Labrador, has in mind when they're talking a new fiscal arrangement. So I am not surprised to see that such a session would be held. I hope members of council are able to get out there and attend it on Monday morning. Thank you very much. With that, we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Aker. We stand adjourned.